Okay, this lesson is part 2, Biblical Hebrew. And as I like to say, it ain't rocket science and coffee ain't rocket fuel. It would be easier if you, as I was taught so well under the guidance of someone who did all the work, you might say, and worked the hard way and then learned the best way to convey that information. Dr. Randy Murray in the seminary, and he taught us about visual, about writing it and then iterating and then deliberate practice. So we didn't just write and rewrite. We would read, write, rewrite, and then deliberately practice. So it's how I'm building this chart now is to show you things that will help you notice a pattern. In this part 2, I've selected these 3 stems for a reason, because the root word there, I'll just show you what that is. That's katal. That's just 3 Hebrew letters. So if you're filling this out, and we are, I'm using straight lines. I'm using the block form is what I call it, where it really doesn't look pretty. It's just very basic. I use the block form for teaching children at the church house, and they find that much easier to write. And you'll notice, you know this much. You can fill this part out. That's why I said I used the different colors so that we can see the core, what we can know. As Dr. Murray always said, don't let what you don't know throw you from what you do know. And that's great in any learning. Otherwise you can become self-discouraged, where you're allowing what you don't know to throw you. So as part 1, we put the chart together, which was just a grid, the 7 stems. We came over and differentiated the singular from the plural. We wrote our third feminine, third masculine, second masculine, first common, third common, second feminine, third feminine, and then second feminine, second masculine, and then our first common. So you can trust your chart. It will catch you, help self-teach. You can be an autodidact, if you will. And that's really the case. If you're not going to study this after you finish your coursework, or don't intend to use it, then these patterns really would be of no interest. So, but notice as we fill this out, you notice these 3 columns here, the cow, PL, and pual, look exactly alike. Because in the nifal, it has the letter N in the name, and it's called noon in the Hebrew. So we just write that here, and it's just like a box with the lid open, and you just write that there. And so that's good. That shows you that's a sign of that nifal. It'll help you when you look at words. So this one's different because it has that prefix, that noon, that N attached to it, but now the ending's the same. But notice these 3. Before you punctuate it, it's a, ta, ti, u, tim, tin, nu, a, ta, ti, u, tim, tin, nu. And then the same here, of course. I didn't finish that one, which we will right now. You have the H, the hey, and then of course the ta, ti, and then this long sound T. Now that yod there is just like a greater than sign if you're using straight letters, like I said, the block form. But notice that's good news. If before you punctuate it, those 3 columns look exactly alike. And then before you do anything, you notice nifal has a key here to add that noon. Well, then you can come in, and now these are very similar except for that noon, and yet we have that clue in the word. So we can come in and write a, ta, ti, and this long sound, t. See that? We can put our u, tim, just like the word Timothy, Tim. And that mem is just a box at the end. You notice that? That's good. There's no reason to want this to be complicated. And this is tin, just like a tin cup. That's noon, the final form. which we'll learn that as we go along. We're just building our chart right now. And this is new. That's the noon. So you notice that, but for this one letter, these four are exactly the same before we punctuate it. But now we have this key going forward. So we have four of our stems where we can notice that before we punctuate it, they're exactly alike. And can we expect the same here? Well, under this one, it's an odd. It has this hith. That's why I put this dash here to show us that that's something different there. So we have this prefix, this hey, and then we have this tau or tav, as some people call it. And I messed up there, but there we go. So we have hith, and that'll be what is prefixed to our root word. So now we can come in, build our chart. We're not intimidated. We're taking it step at a time. We're looking at the patterns. We're not wanting to be thrown by what we don't know. We're wanting to let what we know govern our practice here. We're wanting to go ahead and fill out what we can know. And we're trying to get to where our, we will get, you'll get where this is a lot easier to write. Remember, the good news about the Bible, it's already written. So you're really spending time with decomposition rather than composing. You're analyzing, and that's good news. So we have that. Now we can go in, plug in the hith, for example. This is good practice. There's your H, hey. There's your tau or tav, as some people call it. Remember the little leg there. When you're using the block form, it's just square, come across, down, there's hey. And this is really good practice because it'll help you where you start paying attention to the unique characteristics of the letters, things that will call your attention to it later. So now we have hith, 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 hith all the way. But we notice we have the same word, but for the prefix, and this is just like hithpael is just like niphal. If it weren't for the prefix, this would be exactly the same as everything else we've been working on. So now we can complete the ending because we know that's blank. This is ah, ta. See this? We can just write that, ta. And we'll punctuate later, t. And then here's the long sound, t. Remember that yod is just like a greater than sign when you're using straight lines. And then, of course, we come down here and we put in our root word and our three letters for katal. And there we go. And we just keep working. There. And let's build it, finish it up, and then we'll say that's enough for this video. And this is how you learn to build this chart. You've got your hith there, which is H, tau, hey, tav, hey, tav. Learn how to write that. It's different for me because I don't usually write this block. I do that for, like I said, I teach children, and it's so much easier for them to write the straight lines using the lines of a box, just like we'd say block Hebrew. So there. Now we can fill this in. Tim, just like the word Timothy. There's our box for mem. Tim, tin cup, just like a tin cup. Come over. There's that final form noon, which is like the prefix, the letter noon, but at the end you just drop the bottom out of the box and let it drop. It's subscripted. Tim, tin, and then here's the noon, new. There we go. And that's not subscripted. All right, very good. So we can see a pattern. We can see the prefix is indicated in the title, hith, pael, Pl, pual, but now we can see the similarities in cal, pl, and pual because they have nothing prefix in it. We can go to the one that has the least prefix at the beginning of the chart. It's the noon. It just adds that one letter. Now in part 3, we'll finish by doing these causal stems, and then we'll go back and punctuate it. But first we want to see what can we know, because now we don't have the punctuation in here except this small amount that required us to insert yod, and we did that all the way across. But you notice the pattern, and to notice cal, pl, and pual to be exactly the same prior to punctuation because there's no prefix. Then to go to the least modified is this noon addition thus far as we progress. So we'll go through this. The chart then won't look so intimidating or daunting. So have a blessed day and enjoy your work. Write it, read it, rewrite it, iterate, deliberately practice.